Now, hang on. I've always thought this room was small. When you look from outside, it looks 15 foot wide. But in here, it's just 9 foot wall to wall. The 6 foot gone astray. Ma said, get away. There's a secret room behind the wall. Is that right? Well, ain't that peculiar? Go fetch our Graham's ruler. He was sword fencing week last night. So, they measured within, and they measured without. Right enough, they found 6 foot not there. I know what I'll do, Pa says. I'll knock through. I'll make a hole just behind that there chair. It took an hour and a bit until he could fit his head and his shoulders right through. And there sat a witch with a wart on a snitch. She says, all right. He says, fine, thanks, and you? She says, well, I can't complain. I'm just bored out of my brain. Day in and day out doing note. Who are you talking to, shouts Mabel, who was only still able to see Kane's backside sticking out. It was then that Kane noticed that it wasn't a room. It was deep in a forest of sorts. From what he could tell, it was a green leafy dell. It's likely enchanted, he thought. With birds all a-twittering. He didn't hear Mabel whittering as he bundled the rest of him through. The witch patted the grass. She says, "Eat company at last. Sit down, lad. I've just made a brew." She says, "I have to admit, since them last folks did a flit and took that old wardrobe away, but not seen a soul till you made that hole." She says, "Here, lad, you've made me day." "Well, I'll fetch Brian," she says. "Brian's me lion." And she got up and shouted his name. Right enough, she weren't lying, 'cause this lion come flying. Thank goodness the bugger were tame. He curled up next to Kane. He says, "Hello, what's your name?" He says, "Kane, I'm the bloke from next door." You could see he'd been crying at Brian the lion. "But it's dead nice to see you," he roared. "Me and the witch are dead lonely. We keep thinking if only we had visitors, it'd be great. 'Cause you see, me and her, like enemies we were, but now there's just us, we're best mates." Just then, Kane heard a yelp and what sounded like, "Help!" It were Mabel. She was shouting, poor soul. She got sick of waiting, but was now suffocating. She got herself wedged in thole. A right frock buster were Mabel. She weighed 20 stone. Kane looked and said, "Heavens above." She was stuck halfway through and turning quite blue round the gills, so he gave her a shove. Of course, the wall gave way, and the witch shouts, "Hooray! We're free!" Mabel says, "Hang about. What's happening now, Kane? I don't want to complain, but ain't that a lion got out?" "This is Brian," said Pa. "Brian, this is Ma. And this here's a witch I've just met." And the witch says, "They're dead pleased to meet you." And Mabel says, "Puppety pet." So the witch and our Mabel sat down at the table, and the pair hit it off really well. She gave her some makeup to hide all her warts, and then she taught Mabel some spells. So everything's rosy. They all live quite cosy. We had curtain across the hole that was made. They don't do Blackpool no more. They just nip next door and relax in their own verdant glade. So the Warburtons still live life as normal, set with a lion instead of a dog. Oh, and there's just them in the street that's got a forest en suite. Oh, and a rent man that's been turned into a frog.